Hey everybody, Pete Haskins here with another video here on this Esoteric Circle YouTube channel. Welcome wherever you're at on your journey. I'm glad that you are here with us. Remember to keep your sense of humor. Just been an interesting day, and I'm just glad to just kind of sit down with you. And I've got two of my favorite books. So we're going to talk about Astral Bodies. This one, Gnosis by Gurdjieff Mouravieff. This is what we're studying in our Discord group, and if you're interested, send me a comment here and we can get you connected with us, Saturday morning groups, and also In Search of the Miraculous. So stay tuned. We're going to be talking about eternal life, death, astral bodies, just light-hearted stuff here on this Esoteric Circle YouTube channel. No, it's really pretty serious. So anyway. One of the things that really does interest me is just some of the basic things which draw us toward this fourth way, toward Gurdjieff, toward Ouspensky, toward Mouravieff, toward any of this stuff, and really essentially toward any major religion, is about eternal life and about living on after this existence. And it is the thing that we in Christianity call the resurrection, and no one really understands it. And the thing about it is that really within the church, I'm ordained pastor in the United Church of Christ, especially in Protestantism, but no one really knows what it is. No one can explain it, and especially pastors don't have any idea what it's about. And I've wondered for years about this, and it's within these teachings that I have discovered it. I certainly didn't discover it in seminary. But it's amazing how much stuff pastors just don't know. And they just act like they know it. And we don't know it. And we should. You should know what the resurrection means. You should know what eternal life means. And in terms of the language of the Esoteric Brotherhood and the Fourth Way and Esoteric Christianity and Orthodoxy, it's there. But you have to look for it. And you have to investigate it. And it's not found in the Walmart bookshop, you know. I mean, it's found in these obscure books that you have to hunt down and you have to really search. So we're going to be talking about that today, and I'm excited you're here with us because we're talking about some deep stuff. Okay. One of the things I wanted to start with was something that we're talking about in our Discord group, which is astral bodies. And apparently this is really one of the main points that we have that leads us toward issues of reconciliation of the issue of reincarnation and resurrection. So apparently what Mouravieff and Gurdjieff are really talking about here is this development of an astral body. So let me read to you this one of the first sections within Gnosis 1 that we really start talking about astral bodies. This is in, let's see what chapter this is, I think 13, chapter 13 here. And I'm just going to read to you a couple passages here from In Search of the Miraculous. But we're going to start with Gnosis here and really let these guys, their words, speak for them. So I'm not interpreting them in any certain way. But this is really what we're all after, which is living on after this, the sense of permanence in the magnetic center being developed. But it really is about developing an astral body. So this is what he says. This is what Mouravieff says about astral bodies. Just a brief little excerpt here. A little bit longer one for Ouspensky and Gurdjieff. Mouravieff says, we should remember that types 1, 2, 3, and 4 of terrestrial man are those whose physical bodies are fully developed. He says physical bodies are fully developed. With the integral development of the personality and the second birth which follows, man acquires an astral body. And he goes on, having consolidated the results obtained there, he will become man 7. With that, he will come to the end of the evolution possible for man living on earth, endowed with the body of grace or mental body, which is the stage after the development of the astral body. He will be admitted to that superior brotherhood, which we talked about last video, about which the Apostle St. Paul said, in it the Son will be first among many brethren. So it is all about the development. You have to acquire this. You don't just get it, right? You have to have development. So now I want to read some stuff from In Search of the Miraculous. Now, Spensky and Gurdjieff tag teaming here in this book, In Search of the Miraculous. By the way, just the energy in this book is absolutely amazing. I love it. So on page, I got this copy. This is a very common copy. Page 31. So early on in this book, he's talking about this, and Ouspensky is really just recording his remembrances and these notes from meetings. He says, on one occasion at one of these meetings, someone asked about the possibility of reincarnation and whether it was possible to believe in cases of communication with the dead. Many things are possible, said G, but it is necessary to understand that man's being, both in life and after death, if it does exist after death, may be very different in quality. The man-machine with whom everything depends upon external influences, with whom everything happens, who is now one, the next moment another, and the next moment a third, has no future of any kind. He is buried, and that is all. Dust returns to dust. This applies to him. In order to be able to speak of any kind of future life, there must be a certain crystallization, a certain fusion of man's inner qualities, a certain independence of external influences. If there is anything in a man able to resist external influences, then this very thing itself may also be able to resist the death of the physical body. But think for yourselves what there is to withstand physical death in a man who faints or forgets everything when he cuts his finger. If there is anything in a man, it may survive. If there is nothing, then there is nothing to survive. But even if something survives, its future can be very varied. In certain cases, a fuller crystallization, what people call reincarnation, may be possible after death, and in other cases, what people call existence on the other side. In both cases, it is the continuation of life in the astral body, or with the help of the astral body. You know what the expression astral body means, but the systems with which you are acquainted and which use this expression state that all men have an astral body. This is quite wrong. What may be called the astral body is obtained by means of fusion, which is what Mouravieff is talking about. That is, by means of terribly hard inner work and struggle. Man is not born with it, and only very few men acquire an astral body. If it is formed, it may continue to live after the death of the physical body, and it may be born again in another physical body. This is reincarnation, he says. If it is not reborn, then in the course of time it also dies. It is not immortal, but it can live long after the death of the physical body. In the Orthodox Church, 40 days is the actual amount of time that they say a body can live, or the soul, if you will live afterward without the development of an astral body. In Tibetan Buddhism, it's, I think, 49 days. And Mouravieff calls this, I don't mean this to be a trigger word, but Mouravieff calls this an astral abortion in terms of what happens to us if we are not developed, if we do not have this crystallization. We have to form it while we are here. And Gurdjieff says very explicitly, very few people obtain this. So he goes on to say this about the fusion. Fusion, this is Gurdjieff and speaking through Ouspensky. Fusion, inner unity, is obtained by means of friction, okay? Friction. by the struggle between yes and no in man. If a man lives without inner struggle, if everything happens in him without opposition, if he goes wherever he is drawn or wherever the wind blows, he will remain such as he is. But if a struggle begins in him, and particularly if there is a definite line in this struggle, then gradually permanent traits begin to form themselves. He begins to crystallize. But crystallization is possible on a right foundation, and it is possible on a wrong foundation. Friction, the struggle between yes and no, can easily take place on a wrong foundation. For instance, a fanatical belief in some or other idea or the fear of sin can evoke a terribly intense struggle between yes and no. And a man may crystallize on these foundations, but this would be wrong, incomplete crystallization. And here we'll finish with this. Such a man will not possess the possibility of further development. In order to make further development possible, he must be melted down again, which is something that Mouravieff talks about. And this can be accomplished only through terrible suffering. So, if you're in this work and you're involved in it, because some people don't have the stomach for this esoteric stuff. Some people need quick fixes like, the Wim Hof method or some of these, quick fixes which don't take any suffering. Physical body suffering, yes, but that's nothing compared with this inner crystallization. This is tough stuff. This is for real human beings to go through this suffering. I've gone through it, and I'm sure many of you have gone through it. This crystallization needs to happen within our development, and this is real stuff. This is real maturity in terms of becoming a real human being, and it's all about the development of the astral body. And if you're within the midst of suffering, then you might be onto something. Blessings to you, wherever you're at on this journey. Keep your sense of humor, and I'll see you soon.